Hello and welcome to the final video I'll be doing about Planet Earth, which is my top 10 moments from the series. So I've done this for Planet Earth 3 and Planet Earth 2, so it seems right I do it for Planet Earth. So this series had quite a lot of good moments. The series obviously is a classic, so it's going to have a lot, but a lot of the things that actually ended up making the list were things that I wasn't actually expecting to make the list. There were a lot of things that I didn't really remember very well, but on rewatch I found that I had a deeper appreciation for them. So at number 10, I have a sequence that I wasn't expecting to make this list, which is the Tibetan Plateau. So the Tibetan Plateau was one of the weirder sequences in the series. There isn't a lot of explanation given. We just see a lot of animals that we don't see very often or at all really, in a habitat that we never really see. Whether it be the Asian wild ass or the pekas and the square-faced Tibetan fox, which again just looked weird. The fact that Attenborough narrates it in such a way that he's like, I don't really know what they're doing. It added a bit of mystery, but also kind of kept it funny, just kind of guessing what it was. So I thought it was really good. Again, the narration helped, but it was a very good sequence, and I very much enjoyed it. So at number 9, I have the Denali Cranes. So this is another sequence that I didn't expect to make the list. However, it's great. It's a really good sequence. I don't think any other episode did as good a job as the mountains episode at really showing you how harsh that habitat was. Even the deserts episode and the ice worlds didn't really do as good a job as the mountains did, I think. And this was the sequence that did that for me. So they basically watching these cranes try to scale Mount Everest and get over and fail multiple times was great. The fact that there's golden eagles going after them and that's not really the antagonist of the sequence also was great. The antagonist was very much the mountain itself. And the way it ends by saying that the cranes have finally managed to conquer the mountain, but they daren't look back, was such a great way of ending the episode. It stuck with me right the way through the whole series. Number 8, also from the same episode, is the snow leopards. So snow leopards generally, if they're in a series, they're probably going to appear on this list. This was the first major snow leopard sequence we ever got. We have had multiple since then, obviously Planet Earth 2, most recently in mammals. This did a very good job of just showing you how mysterious they were. We don't get as in-depth a look at the snow leopards as we did in Planet Earth 2, but that wasn't really what the sequence was about. It was really just showing you them in their natural habitat and just creating an air of mystery, just showing you how mysterious they were. The fact that we get to see them hunting at all was great. The fact that we saw them at all, again, showing you what the cameramen went through, it was a wonder that we got any footage at all, but it was really good. Again, it's one of the sequences that has stayed with me, and if this sequence hadn't been as successful as it was, we probably wouldn't have got the other sequences. Number 7, I've got a darker sequence, probably the hardest to watch sequence in the series, which is the Cannibal Chimpanzees. So this was kind of the final barrier that to break down, showing you the actual brutality of chimpanzee society. We'd seen them hunting monkeys before, and we'd seen them fighting. We'd never seen them actually cannibalizing each other though. The fact that they attack this other group and again, it's a pretty violent sequence, but seeing them eating the young chimp is horrific. I mean, it's again stayed with me at the time, and as I've said, a lot of chimpanzee sequences over the years have kind of just felt a little bit okay to me. I feel like I'd seen it all before. This is one of the sequences that has stood out to me as a really good chimpanzee sequence, and as hard as it is to watch, it stays with you, and it's ultimately pretty great. Number 6 is the Emperor Penguins. So the Emperor Penguins appeared in the first episode and the Ice Worlds, but doing the same thing. But it's a great sequence. Again, also quite bleak. Usually when penguins appear in these kind of programs, it's a funny sequence. It's almost always, an easy laugh. Not this. This is pretty brutal. We see the struggles they go through but in the winter, where the males have to huddle together for warmth. And then once they come to the other side of the winter, they've still got the risk of their eggs might fail, or the mothers might not come back from the sea. The hatchlings might die. They might get trampled by other mothers that want to take them on. They might just die in the cold. But all that just helps to reinforce how great it is when one does make it, which is ultimately how the episode ends. It helped people take penguins a bit more seriously. And as well, they are usually the butts of the joke in most sequences. Not this time, and I think it was great that we saw it. This isn't so much one sequence as a collection of similar sequences, but number 5 is all the stuff with the caves. So the caves episode is the most underrated episode of the series. It's probably one of the best, and it's great. Every single time they explored a cave, I was interested. I really wanted to know what the hell they were going to see. There's no animals. This really isn't an animal sequence. It's just showing you the cave systems themselves. The caves look great. The filmmaking's great. You really feel the struggles they get to try and get into all these places, whether they be, underwater caves where they have to squeeze through these tight little crevices, or like the ones in Mexico, which you can't film anymore. Again, it was great. It really felt like a really special episode, because we've never had an episode like this since, and we probably never will. And I don't really know why, because this episode was great. So the top 4 really could be interchangeable to an extent. Number 4 is the polar bears and the walrus. So the polar bear sequence was pretty great. Already seeing the polar bear swimming was amazing, but seeing it taking on walruses was just even better. The fact that you see the desperation with the polar bear is great. It starts off going for calves, but then it can't get them, so it goes for larger ones, even less chance of it getting it. And then it goes for adults, and you just see how desperate it is. It really does a good job of showing you the struggles that polar bears go through in the Arctic, and ultimately at the end, the polar bear doesn't make it, and it's very likely it's going to die. Again, it's another hard sequence to watch, but it is great, and again, that sequence has stayed with me for years. Again, another one, like the chimpanzees, I'm not going to forget it in a hurry, and I've never have. So it's a great one. So number 3 isn't so much to do with animals, as it is another type of organism, and that is the cordyceps. So this is the sequence that has stayed with me the most from Planet Earth, more so than the top 2 picks. This is the one I will always remember when I think of Planet Earth. It's just tremendous. I mean, it really put fungus on the map, specifically cordyceps. It just shows you how scary this stuff is, and it's really weird. Again, almost like something out of science fiction. And I don't think if we had this, we wouldn't have things like The Last of Us game or series. I think this just made cordyceps seem like a really scary thing, and you can really put yourselves in the position of the ants that are, or the other insects that are basically parasitized by it and killed by it. And you can really see how devastating it is to their populations. Again, great stuff. It was a great sequence. It stayed with me for many, many years, and I don't think I'm ever going to forget it. So number 2 is the great white sharks hunting fur seals. So this is brilliant. I mean, I kind of already gushed about it in my video, but it's amazing. The 1 second strike is great. In slow motion, it's amazing. The fact that you see these sharks leaping out of the water, it's just a great bit of filmmaking. We don't see a lot of great white shark footage after this series, and I think that's possibly because they just knew they were never going to top it. This is the defining great white shark footage, and considering they're such an iconic animal, that isn't really a small feat, to the point where there is only one other sequence that I liked more than this one, and that is, of course, the lions hunting elephants. So this is something I didn't think I'd ever see because I didn't know it happened, and it's brilliant. The whole footage sequence, right from where you first see the elephants to the end of the sequence where the lions have killed it, the very ominous music does a good job of setting that scene, making you feel uneasy, but you're not really sure why. And because you don't really think that lions would be able to take on an elephant, that never even crossed my mind. But as the sequence goes on, you're like, I think they're going to do it. And when they do manage to take on the elephant, it's great. You could tell they made it in a rush. And the fact that it's still the number 1 for me of this whole series says it all. I mean, I don't think there's any point in them ever trying to film this again, because even if they filmed it in a better way or they used infrared, they would never be able to recapture the surprise and the suspense of this sequence. I don't think. And so yeah, that's my number 1 pick. So again, Planet Earth, great stuff, great series. It's obviously a classic. There's a lot of good stuff in it. There's a lot of other moments in it that didn't make the list. What were some of your highlights? Did you think were your top 10 picks the same as mine? Was there a bit of overlap? Were they completely different? Let me know. And yet, as I said in my last video, this is the last video I'll be doing about Planet Earth, or any of the Planet Earths. If you want to hear a ranking of them, I don't really know how I'd rank the 3 Planet Earth series. This is a great look at the untouched natural world. Planet Earth 2 is a bit more the same, but kind of filmed at a higher definition. And Planet Earth 3 shows you the human impacts of things. I think this is the best one for me. I think Planet Earth 2 or 3, I'm not sure. Planet Earth 2 has some episodes that are a little bit kind of slow, whereas Planet Earth 3 has one as well. Nothing here felt slow. I think the deserts one's probably the weakest episode, but still really good. So yeah, let me know what series you want me to take on next. It'll be weird going outside of the Planet Earth series, but I'm open to anything basically. And yeah, feel free to like, comment and subscribe, or don't. At this point, you're probably not going to, if you weren't going to before, but feel free to if you want to, or don't, it's fine with me. And yeah, I will see you next time with whatever I'm talking about, and goodbye.